legal assistant here in 57. And at that time, there was already the chapter, JCI Seremban. I think it started about 2 or 3 years before 57. And in 15, I became a member in 57 itself. There were just a few people. Only June, shortly after that, I think also became a member. There were people like Daniel Yao and Thomas Kang, still around, I believe. And I became the president in 59, and I continued serving as president for a few years until 65. Then I continued being active until I relocated to Kuala Lumpur in the end of 68, just in time for May 13, 1969. Some of you are wondering what May 13, 1969, we had riots in Malaysia. I got right into the middle of all that in 69, and I continued being loosely associated with the movement, but away from all my friends in Seremban, I was very active. In KL, I was not really involved, and then before I knew it, I became 40, and that was that. Unlike Bob and so on, I didn't stay on. I kept in touch with Seremban for some time, and I was delighted a few years ago to have been invited for a similar installation meeting, and I feel very much honored that you people have invited me to come here and be your guest of honor for today. I'm surprised that you even know that I'm still existing somewhere. Then just to introducing myself, if I may, because a lot of people wondering who the hell is this fellow. I practiced law in Seremban. I practiced law, and then I went on to KL, and I got more and more involved in law, and eventually I was one of the, if I may say so, one of the leading commercial lawyers. I was a court man. And because of my background as a commercial lawyer, when the then Chief Justice Raja Azlan Shah wanted to bring some expertise into the, special expertise into the judiciary, I was bullied into becoming a judge in 1981. 81 I became a judge. I said bullied because by becoming a judge, I lost a lot by way of income. Judges then were grossly underpaid, but they said, as long as national service and so on. So there you are, I became a judge. For 3 years I was sitting judge in Pahang. Then I came back to KL, and I became head of what is known as the commercial division of the High Court. And I did that until just about the end of my career. Then they became a judge of the Court of Appeal for a couple of years. When I retired, joined a legal firm as a consultant, which is what I'm still doing. I may look young. I admit to being middle-aged, but actually I'm older than Hock Chun, and Hock Chun is old. So I was really delighted when Unkit contacted me and said, would I come over? I didn't know I was going to be the guest of honor. I was, like the last time I came here, just another past president of the JCI Seremban. So when I came here, I said, good heavens, I'm actually more important than I realize I am. So much for a serious part of the speech, because we all have a lot of serious speeches. Since there was a joke, that is about a shipwreck, and I could. Hock Chun will tell you that I normally get up and tell 2 or 3 jokes and sit down. So I shall. Can I tell you all about, instead of the shipwreck, we have this flight. I've just come back from traveling, and while I was sitting on the flight, I thought about this interesting story. There was this flight taking off from Heathrow, and in economy, there was a couple of fierce-looking Arabs, could be terrorists, one by the window, the other in the next seat. And on the aisle seat was a rabbi. The rabbi, as you all know, is a Jewish priest. So the rabbi and two Arabs. And after they took off, the Arab by the window seat said, look, excuse me, I'll do one. They were trying to attract the attention of the hostess. It was British Airways, so they just ignored these natives, and they were not getting a service, so this Arab got up and said, I want to go and get myself a Coke. The rabbi said, look, brother, you sit there, I'm on the aisle seat, I will go and get the Coke for you. Now, rabbi had, as soon as the flight took off, he had taken his shoes off. So he left his shoes behind and he went away. He went into where the hostesses were and came back with a Coke. While he was away, the Arab by the window seat took one of the shoes of the rabbi and spat into it. And then the rabbi came back with a Coke, and this guy drank his Coke. Then the next Arab said, I want a Coke too. The rabbi said, brother, you just sit there, I will get it for you. So as he went off to get the thing, this Arab took the other shoes, cleared his throat and spat into it. And then the rabbi came back and gave him the Coke. And then before you know it, they were about to land. Then the rabbi wanted to get into his shoes and realized what had happened. And he said, when will this end, this anger, this hostility between our people? When will all this end? When will this spitting into shoes and pissing into Coke bottles stop? You will remember when years ago, when we had the big wigs from JC, from KL, young people like that, they came down. Young Pushin. You all know Young Pushin, the name is very familiar, should be familiar to all of you. Slango Pewter, brilliant entrepreneur, businessman, recognized by the government as one of our great guys. He learned, he was an idiot. He learned what he knows from being a JC. Huh? Anyway, back to those days when these people came down from KL, I told them that, and there were some visitors from overseas, so I told the people from overseas, look, one of the things you want to do is to drive down to Kuantan, because it's a beautiful, I first told them you must go drive down to Kuala Pila from Seremban over the hills, paddy fields on both sides, and Malay kampungs, beautiful kampungs. And I also told them you can go to Kuantan, it's a great trip. And when you come to Temulo, you go over the high bridge over the Sungai Pahang. And ladies and gentlemen, if you look down from there, if you stop on the Temulo bridge, you'll see at the bottom, way down, is a village, a water village. There are houseboats and a lot of some Malays staying there. And there was this little Malay boy who lived in one of these houseboats. His name is Ali. And Ali's father said, Ali, you are now 12 years old, so you entitled to your first parang, so gave him a parang. And this boy had this parang and he went around cutting, slashing at the bluka, little trees and things. And then he came to their own houseboat. The houseboats are there tethered to the shore with ropes. And each houseboat has got its own toilet, which is a little platform on 4 stilts in the river, also tethered to the shore with a tough rope tied to one of the coconut trees. So Ali couldn't resist it. The staunch rope was there to their family toilet, so he swung the parang and cut the rope. and down the river is a swift current went the family toilet. And Ali later came back home and his father was there and he said, "Who cut the rope?" asked the father. Now Ali said, "Father, you talk to me about George Washington. George Washington, when he was a little boy, had cut down the father's cherry tree with his new axe. And George Washington's father, the boy remembered the story, George Washington's father said, "Who cut down the cherry tree?" And George Washington said, Father, I cannot lie. I cut down the cherry tree." Whereupon the father said, George Washington's father said, "For telling the truth, for not lying, I forgive you, but don't go around cutting cherry trees." So Ali said, Father, like George Washington, I also cannot lie. It is I who cut the rope. Whereupon Ali's father took a rotan and gave him a thrashing. Ali said, "But Dad, you told me about George Washington didn't lie and his father forgave him." The father said, "Yes, but George Washington's father was not sitting on the cherry tree." President, incoming, newly inducted president, past president-elects, immediate past national president, Kovi Chan, the organizing chairman, ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, I was delighted to have been invited, very much honored to have been given this special status here, and I'm told that we are going to have a Japanese sushi lunch. So I shouldn't keep you away. I don't know whether we get a whiskey here. Because, you see, I've got this bad throat. And our advisor, Bob Chan, said, "You know, Tansri, what you want to do is to get a whiskey and don't forget to gargle before you swallow." Take another 2 minutes to tell you people how very impressed I am. I'm not talking down to you. I think at my age I can talk down to you people. How very impressed I have been with what you have been doing and seeing the various personalities here, the various speeches that were made. In our time, Okchun, you and I could hardly speak, remember? And then we were very conscious in those days of wanting to better ourselves. I used to preach when I was president. I said, the community work, all that is secondary. Priority is to better ourselves. We are all young people, we want to better ourselves. I said, we better ourselves to better the world. And I think that's one of the themes used by JCI. And that was my emphasis in those days was let's learn to speak. People like Liti and all couldn't speak, remember? But after he had been with us, I said, no, Liti, don't look at a piece of paper. Just speak without looking at a paper. And they all became brilliant orators. But I see that all of you obviously have been taking my advice and practicing. I was very impressed by the oration. I'm a judge, lawyer. I'm used to listening to great speeches. I must say that people impress me. Ha! You're late! He's appeared before me when I was a judge and he was late then as well. Now that he's arrived, I think I'll stop. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for honoring.